Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So if Ole Gunnar Solsjaker is to be sacked by the football club, who should come in to replace Ole Gunnar Solsjaker at Manchester United. Now we do know there has been a lot of talks about Massmilanio Allegri, the former Juventus manager, coming to Manchester United. And I've just been reading recent reports, and it reportedly says that Allegri wants to come to Manchester United to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now obviously Allegri is a former Juventus manager. Obviously I think he resigned from the Juventus job earlier on in the summer. Obviously he served around 5 years with Juventus. I think he won 5 consecutive Serie A titles, and I think he also got Juventus to 2 Champions League finals. And obviously the majority of his career won anywhere, obviously was at Juventus, but obviously he's in his 50s now. I think is Massmilanio Allegri. He also has spent the entirety of his managerial career in Italy. He also spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy. So do you think he would be the right candidate for Manchester United? But like I said, reports were stemming from the Italian press the other week saying that we have made Massmilanio Allegri as our primary candidate to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the football club. But don't forget, before we recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in to Manchester United, don't forget, there was a lot of talks about Pochettino coming in. There was also some speculation about possibly Zinedine Zidane coming in. But we actually made Mauricio Pochettino our primary candidate. Obviously to replace Jose Mourinho at the time. Obviously before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in and that. And a lot of people believe Mauricio Pochettino would be the right candidate for Manchester United. Obviously reflecting on his experience in the Premier League. Pochettino now is in his 6th season with Tottenham, so he has been at Tottenham 5 years. He's good at developing young players. Obviously hasn't got that proven pedigree yet of winning many silver, but I think at the time Man United did go in for Pochettino after the sacking of Jose Mourinho. Obviously Pochettino didn't have any intentions of leaving Tottenham, and as you all do know, Daniel Levy of course is hard negotiator. But yeah, at the time we was in for him, it did initially say we'd have to pay up to around 35 to 40, we'd have to pay compensation of around 35 to 40 million pounds anywhere to recommend Mauricio Pochettino in to the football club. But obviously our preference was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over Pochettino and all that, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a cheaper solution, plus Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows the club inside out. But yeah, Pochettino's done really well during his tenure with Tottenham. He also had a good short tenure when he was at Southampton before Tottenham. So if Solskjaer is to be sacked, could possibly the club reignite their interest in Mauricio Pochettino. But despite our bad start to the season, I still believe Manchester United are backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think Ed Woodward is still convinced that he can still turn things around at the football club. Now obviously we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. We've only won 2 league games so far this season out of 7 league games, and we have only registered 9 points from 7 league games. So we are currently sitting 10th firm in the table. But like I did say, you can pinpoint certain games out this season that Manchester United should have arguably won. We should have definitely won at Wolves away. We should have won at Southampton away. We should have definitely won against Crystal Palace at home. Arguably, we should have won on Monday night against Arsenal and that, because there was some good individual performances on Monday. I thought the performance and that improved, but I still thought the game lacked quality in that. But yeah, the performance improved and all that. So these games this season, Man United should have won. I think there's 3 league games this season where we've been winning 1-0 at half time. Obviously, where we have failed to win. So obviously in that aspect, that's cost us points. But 9 points from 7 games is nowhere near good enough, to our current standards. And I did initially say, reflecting on the amount of money that's been spent at Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years in all the managerial areas. Also reflecting on the history of this football club, we should be much more of a commanding position than in now. But obviously, I interpreted, you know, some of the things that Roy Keane had said, you know, on Monday Night Football, and he actually said, you know, Man United, you know, should stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He did initially say that, you know, we should give him at least a couple of more windows, you know, to see who else, you know, he can recommend into the football club. But, you know, Roy Keane, you know, actually said, you know, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been brilliant for the football club. Solskjaer has not yet had a long tenure with Manchester United. You know, don't forget, overall, I think he's been at the club around 10 months. Obviously, that means he's been at the club, you know, now just under a year. Obviously, you know, we recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in December of last year, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. Obviously, you know, we did get him in as interim manager. He was interim manager of the club for 3 months. Obviously, you know, we did really well in that 3-month period. You know, the results were good, the performances were good, and he was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations. But since he got the job in March earlier on this year, everything, of course, has just seemed to have all gone wrong. But yeah, I think we do need to give him time, Solskjaer, because you can still quite frankly say, you know, he's in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team, because analysing, you know, the majority of this team, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Actually, the majority of these players are actually, you know, Jose Mourinho's, you know, to be quite honest with you. But I did say, you know, I do credit, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in certain aspects in that, you know, he's got a lot of trustworthy in his young upcoming players. Obviously, you know, he did recommend, you know, 3 good players to the squad as well, you know, during the summer. You know, we spent obviously over £140 million on, you know, Daniel James, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire, and we have seen glimpses of what good signs, you know, they've proven to be so far. And I think, you know, they've done really well. They've settled in, you know, really quick. And I think if they all can keep their consistency up, I think their valuations, you know, will persistently grow. But throughout the course of the summer, we didn't address all the problematic areas as we would have liked, and that. But it was obviously going to be extremely difficult for us, you know, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window and that. So we need to, you know, give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least a couple more windows, like, you know, Roy Keane did say. But in January, I think we need to think about recommending a midfielder in, because that midfield area is one of the priority areas, you know, where Manchester United do need to strengthen up. You know, don't forget, from the majority of the summer as well, we was in search for a right winner. You can say Manchester United also need a striker, because obviously we failed to recruit a replacement for Romelu Lukaku. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has actually, you know, identified the 4 positions, you know, he would like to strengthen up in the Manchester United squad. So during the summer, you know, we got that experienced centre half in, you know, we also got that right back in, which was very good. But yeah, we definitely need a midfielder, maybe need a right winner, perhaps need a striker. So these still more investment, you know, definitely needed in the squad. But I think, you know, like I said, regardless what happens this season anywhere, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, you know, should be safe at least until May, because I think the board realised during the summer that they didn't back, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, as you know, they did initially presuming that. But yeah, you know, things are going really bad at the moment, and you know, if we do continue this bad run of form, like I said, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be gone by Christmas, and I think, you know, we could enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season, you know, because last season was a huge disappointment. You know, finished 6th, obviously, you know, failed to win mini silver, and of course we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say, you know, in that aspect, you know, that was the main reason that went against us in the summer transfer window, because obviously when you're not in Champions League football, obviously, you know, it's going to be hard, you know, to attract players to the elite level and that. So I did say a lot of players, you know, would have had element of concerns about, you know, joining the football club with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. But I did initially say, didn't I, you know, obviously, if I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure to become successful at Manchester United, and I want his tenure to become successful, but I just don't think his tenure is going to become successful, because obviously he's got to exceed expectation levels at the club, and obviously, you know, Solskjaer isn't exceeding expectation levels. And I did say our expectations this season, you know, will be to obviously finish in the top 4, obviously, you know, to get back into the Champions League and that. And you know, the way things are going at the moment, you know, we're not going to get in that top 4. And I did say, you know, we have got big ambitions for the future, and obviously, you know, them ambitions are is to get back to winning silverware, get back to being competitive. You know, obviously Solskjaer Solskjaer wants to bring that winning mentality and that fear factor back to the football club and that. And I'd love him to, but I've got huge doubts about it. If I'm going to be quite honest here. But like I said, a lot of things need to improve at the football club. And I think due to our inconsistency, I think everyone has to take the blame. So there's a mixture in that. But like I do keep saying, I think the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, because for me, it hasn't only been this summer, this summer transfer window that the board haven't been ruthless enough. They haven't been ruthless enough at least in the last 3 to 4 windows, and so you can blame them in that aspect. They also didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, during the summer, and the board, didn't recommend any sufficient attackers in or any sufficient midfielders in. I think also some of the blame does stem from Ed Woodward. So I think a lot of Man United fans have also, been demanding Ed Woodward out of the football club. Also too, I think some of the blame, does stem from quite a lot of players, because there's a lot of players there that are underperforming, and I think, some of the blame does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because his tactics are questionable, and I will admit, we are tactically inept, but for me, the things that do need to improve, we need to see the performances need to improve, the results need to improve, tactically we need to improve, the style of play needs to improve, because the style of play is not that good. I think the personnel's there, the personnel actually, does seem to be there, so that's one good thing. I think, our away form definitely needs to improve, because our away form's been absolutely atrocious. We haven't won away from home, since the PSG game last season. Obviously, when we won 3-1 in the Champions League, when we produced that miraculous comeback, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. And our home form has also, been very, very poor. I think we also need to score more goals. That's something else we need to improve on, because again, we're not being clinical enough so far this season. We just don't seem to have that clinical element. We do seem to be creating a lot of chances in certain games, but we're just not being clinical enough in front of goal, and that's been proven so far this season. Because so far this season, we've only managed I think about 9 goals in the Premier League and that. But there is still a long way to go. So things can turn around and that. But I just don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to last at Manchester United now. Obviously Solskjaer, I love him a lot, and obviously all the Man United fans love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot, because he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and he has got that proven pedigree as a player. Obviously, one of his most iconic moments as a player, obviously, was back in 1999, of course, when he did win the club the treble. Obviously, one of the club's greatest achievements. That's obviously now over 20 years ago now. Is 1999, when of course the club won the treble and that. But he hasn't really got that managerial experience, Solskjaer, to the highest level, and that's obviously another element of concern I've got about him. He did win a couple of Norwegian titles with Mold. Obviously, he had a really short tenure with Cardiff. But yeah, I just don't think he can become a successor at Manchester United. If I'm going to be quite honest, but obviously, I'll be honest, I really do hate to say that. But yeah, he's our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era, and like I do keep saying, we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers, even though 3 managers have already been sacked, since the Alex Ferguson era. But yeah, we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers and that. And like I said, I think the board, they're a liability in my opinion of the board. I think the board, do need to assure structural changes at the football club. Whether they'll assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. Are they going to give? The question is, are they going to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the tools and that he needs? So these are the vast majority of Man United fans demanding him out. You've got certain Man United fans like me, that are still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But the good thing is as well, I think Solskjaer is already making plans for the January transfer window. I think also Ed Woodward is making plans for the January transfer window and that. I think Solskjaer's actually and that, and Man United, I've got a couple of players on their agenda who we could go in for in January and maybe next summer. I think Solskjaer is keen to stick to the same policy of recruiting young British players, like he did do, of course, earlier on in the summer. But yeah, we got 3 good players in during the summer, and that's obviously that. Like I said, that's going to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a platform to build on and that, and hopefully we can see a couple of more players coming here in January, because analysing it, I think we need at least 3 world-class signings. If we are to be back competitive, if we want to be back to how we was, we need at least 3 world-class signings in my opinion, maybe even more. But Solskjaer did actually say earlier on this summer, he wanted to bring at least 5 new additions to the squad. But yeah, and so I've been reading recent reports, and it basically says we are preparing to spend up to around £90 million in January on reportedly on two strikers, and that's Moussa Dembele from Lyon and well, not two strikers, one striker and one midfielder. Moussa Dembele from Lyon and Sean Longstaff from Newcastle. Now, Moussa Dembele, obviously, we're probably seeing him as an adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, Moussa Dembele, we was tentatively linked to him, during the summer. Like, what I mean is that, he wasn't one of our main priority targets, Moussa Dembele. Probably, will cost us in the region of around £50 million if we are to go in for him in January. Obviously, I think played in the Premier League, when he was a lot younger. Don't forget, with Fulham, he developed at Fulham and that, and actually, began his professional career with Fulham. I think he served around 3 years with Fulham. Don't forget, he served a couple of years with Celtic after he left Fulham, and then obviously, joined Lyon last summer from Celtic. Lyon, I think paid around £20 million. I think he's under contract with Lyon until 2023. But now this is his second season with Lyon. Last season was his debut season in France with Lyon. I think he's an out-and-out number 9. He's Moussa Dembele. He can score goals. He can lead the lines. He is. I think he's just recently, only turned 23 years of age. So, do you think he would be the right type of calibre player for Manchester United? Do you think he'd blend in alongside the likes of Rashford, Daniel James and Anthony Martial and that, really, really well? But yeah, so reportedly he's on Allegri and Solsjaker's agenda. And with Sean Longstaff, don't forget, we was actually in for Sean Longstaff, throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, he's predominantly a central midfielder, so he's a box-to-box midfielder. Sean Longstaff is actually only 21 years of age, but we was in for him basically for the majority of the summer. Solskjaer wanted to recommend him in and that, but Newcastle of course were playing hardball and that towards the back end of the window, because they were actually very, very adamant that Sean Longstaff wasn't for sale. We'd held negotiations with Newcastle during the summer for Sean Longstaff, and Newcastle did quote out that they wanted around £50 million. Obviously, Man United were not willing to pay that. We was only willing to pay for him between £20 to £25 million for him, during the summer. Sean Longstaff is under contract with Newcastle until 2022, and he did well in the second half of last season. I haven't watched him so far this season for Newcastle and that, but he did well, under Rafa Benitez's guidance. But obviously, Rafa Benitez, don't forget, resigned early on in the summer. I think it was back in June. Rafa Benitez resigned, if I'm right. And obviously, Steve Bruce got recommended in, I think, at the start of the season or earlier on in the summer and that. And yeah, he basically said that Sean Longstaff is a big part of the future for Newcastle. So probably we'll have to pay around £40 million, if we've got any chances of getting Sean Longstaff in January. So if we can get Sean Longstaff and Moussa Dembele in, they'll probably, like I said, they'll cost us in the region of around £90 million. So in total, it will take our spending under the Allegri and Solskjaer era, including what we spent this summer, to around £230 million and that. But definitely further more investment is needed in the squad. And like I did initially say, analysing our recruitment policy, it isn't too good, to be quite honest with you. And I think, Allegri and Solskjaer, was talking a lot about our recruitment policy, during the summer and that. He was talking a lot about our recruitment policy, but yeah, he does need more time. Man United have assured, he will get the time that he does want. Because like I did say, reflecting back under the Alex Ferguson era, don't forget, Alex Ferguson, didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United. Don't forget, when he first got recommended into the football club from Aberdeen, was it back in 1984 or 1985? Ferguson didn't win out in his first 3 or 4 years, and then obviously, he was on the verge of getting the sack, and he didn't. And then look what Ferguson went and accomplished. We had 20 odd years of success under Ferguson. I did initially say, regardless who our manager is, no one is gonna ever follow. I don't think we're never gonna follow Ferguson's legacy. We're never gonna replicate, what we did under Alex Ferguson. Obviously, that's something where we have got to accept. But I think quite a lot of the players, we was in for, during the summer. I think we'll probably reignite our interest in them in January. We may leave some until next summer. Don't forget, there's been a lot of talks about James Maddison going on. I think he's also on our agenda. I think Jadon Sancho is also on our agenda and that. But yeah, we need to get at least, in my opinion, 3 world-class signings. Like I did give you an update earlier on. I give you some team news, didn't I? Ahead of the game tomorrow against AZ Alkmaar. Obviously, you know it's we're making the journey to the Netherlands. It is a 5 to 6 kick-off tomorrow evening. Obviously, it's our second game of the Europa League campaign. Obviously, you know, we got off to a good start, you know, in the Europa League by beating FC Astana, you know, 1-0 last month. So obviously we are top of the group at the moment. But I did say AZ Alkmaar and Partizan Belgrade, you know, they're going to be a much more tougher test, you know, than FC Astana. But yeah, we are away from home. You know, I did give you some of the team news, didn't I? Solsjaker has confirmed, you know, Anthony Martial will not be playing in this game against AZ Alkmaar. He said he will not return to the side in time, you know, to face AZ Alkmaar. And actually, you know, Martial has missed the last 5 games for Manchester United in all competitions. And looking at it, Martial has been a big miss for the club, because I thought Martial did well in his first 3 games, you know, before he sustained that thigh injury and that. I thought he did really, really well. And I think he is now close to regaining full fitness, and I think Solskjaer has confirmed that Martial, you know, could be back for the game against Newcastle on Sunday. Well, hopefully he can be back. Martial, like I said, he's predominantly a left winger, but obviously, you know, he plays more centrally now, because he got confirmed at the start of the season that Martial has been given that number 9 shirt. And like I said, he's only 23 years of age. You know, he's developing, you know, really, really well. I think there's a lot of improvements in his game. You know, he's got that finishing assets now. He gets more of them runs in behind, and I think he's more trustworthy now. I still don't think he's quite emulates that level, but I think if he keeps the consistency up and that, and you know, if he can avoid sustaining any more injuries, I've set a goal tally for him this season. I think he can score from between 15 to 20 goals this season. But I think in this particular game against Alkmaar, Solskjaer will probably go more with the youth. He'll probably go with some of the experienced players as well. But I think he'll, you know, go more with the youth. But Martial will not be playing in this game. Solskjaer has definitely confirmed that. But Martial is now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player, so he has been long-serving player at the football club now. Luke Shaw, like I said, I think he's also missed the last 5 games for Manchester United in all competitions. Don't forget, Luke Shaw has been out with a hamstring injury. Like I said, you know, Luke Shaw's also a very imperative player, and he's also, you know, been a big miss as Luke Shaw. I think, you know, he's close to regaining full fitness, because Solskjaer did say prior to the Arsenal game, in his, I think it was his press conference, was it, that, you know, Luke Shaw has returned back to training and that. You know, analysing the majority of Luke Shaw's career, you know, I do think he's been mainly consistent. You know, he's had some, you know, rough patches and that. He had a bad spell under Mourinho. You know, he's sustained quite a few injuries. As a United player, but prior to that, I think he's done really, really well. Don't forget, Luke Shaw won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. So he won't be involved in this game. But due to the absence of Luke Shaw, you know, it has been mainly Ashley Young that's been, you know, fulfilling his role at that left back position, even though Ashley Young is predominantly a right back, and that, you know, mainly has been Ashley Young. But, you know, obviously Alex Tuanzebe played at left back on Monday night against Arsenal. Don't forget, Rojo played at left back against Rochdale in the game against FC Massmilanio in that. So I do believe in the game against Alkmaar tomorrow evening, it'll either be Rojo that plays at left back or Alex Tuanzebe that plays at left back. Actually, Alex Tuanzebe, you know, could play at left back yet again, because I thought he was very, very impressive against Arsenal on Monday, and he did initially say, you know, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season, Tuanzebe, even despite the fact that Harry Maguire and Vince Lindelof are our first choice centre backs. But Alex Tuanzebe is predominantly centre back, but he can actually, you know, play as a full back, so his versatility, and that's, you know, really, really good. And yeah. And so it has been mainly Young, though, that's been fulfilling the role. Like I said, Diego Dalot and Angel Gomez. Now, I think it did say they're going to be doubts for this game tomorrow evening. And that, you know, there was talk saying that, you know, they could possibly, you know, return. Obviously, you know, none of them, you know, played against Arsenal, you know, Dalot or Angel Gomez, because Solskjaer had confirmed that they are both injured. You know, Gomez hasn't played much this season. That Dalot's, you know, only made 1 appearance for the club this season against FC Massmilanio in that. But Diego Dalot, obviously, you know, he's one of the backup options in that full-back position. Like I said, Pogba and Rashford now, they've obviously both recovered from injury, but like I said, they didn't look fully fit against Arsenal on Monday. Rashford didn't look fully fit. He just recently had a groin problem. Pogba didn't look fully fit. He recently, had an ankle injury. But maybe Pogba, won't play in the game, tomorrow evening against AZ Alkmaar. Maybe Rashford, will play, but like I did initially say, I think this game definitely tomorrow as well. Mason Greenwood, should get the starter tomorrow, in my opinion. Well, he should start tomorrow, against AZ Alkmaar, should Mason Greenwood. I'm surprised Mason Greenwood, didn't actually start in the game against Arsenal on Monday in that. Because I did say at this moment in time, I think, Mason Greenwood is a much better solution than Marcus Rashford and that. Mason Greenwood is still a kid basically. He's only 17 years of age. Mason Greenwood has not yet this season started a game in the Premier League. Has not yet started a game from the start in the Premier League, and that so far I think he has made around 5 substitute appearances so far as Mason Greenwood. But he did start in the game against FC Astana, and Rochdale, and obviously scored in both of them games. But Solsjaker recently gave his overarching view on Mason Greenwood. Solsjaker even said it'd be impossible to leave him out of the team, if he does keep scoring, and obviously if he keeps the consistency up. Solskjaer has assured that Mason Greenwood, will get more minutes under his belt. But like I said, by the time he's 23, 24, I definitely think Mason Greenwood, can become a world-class centre forward, for Manchester United, and that, only made his full debut for the club at the end of last season in the 2-0 home defeat to Cardiff, and he did really, really well for the reserves last season. Don't forget, he did score 30 goals in 29 games for the Man United reserves. But yeah, like I said, we've got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. But maybe some of the maybe the vast majority of the young players, or even some of the young players, maybe a lot of Man United fans, and maybe including myself, have got a lot of element of concerns about some of them and that, because maybe some of them won't become successful at Manchester United. It may only turn out that Mason Greenwood only becomes a successful one. I also believe Alex Tuanzebe will become a success. But maybe we should orchestrate on loaning a couple of young upcoming players out, because maybe beneficial for their career. It'll also in that aspect, gain them more experience in that. But Greenwood's been absolutely fantastic in the games, he has played, and he's a much better solution than Rashford. And Rashford, before, I think he's enjoyed a pretty difficult start to this season. I thought Rashford did well in pre-season. He did really, really well in the first game against Chelsea and that. But I think prior to that, Rashford has struggled for consistency in that. He hasn't performed to the standards as we all expected. Rashford was also poor in the last couple of months of last season. A lot of Manchester United fans, do believe that Rashford is overrated, and that, Rashford so far has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United. He's been a United player, since the age of 7. Obviously, he's been in the senior squad with us, since 2016, and that was Rashford and that. But he's still only 21 years of age. So I'd still say he's a long-term solution for Manchester United and that, but not too good so far this season. Obviously Chong, like I said about him, maybe he isn't the right sort of player for Manchester United. He's totally comparison to Mason Greenwood is Chong, and obviously Chong received loan offers this summer, from PSV and his former club Feyenoord and that. But obviously he turned these loan offers down because obviously he wants to commit his future with Manchester United. Does Chong anywhere at least for this season. My opinions on, Jesse Lingard, he's enjoyed a very, very difficult start to this season. And I think, reflecting on his status at the football club, he should be putting much more better performances out. Obviously, Jesse Lingard's highly experienced. He's around, 27, 28 years of age now. He's played in number 10, I think, quite a few times this season. I think a few times he has played out on the right. But his performances, definitely need to improve. So yeah, a lot of players really underperformed so far this season. But even though we've had a bad start to the season, I still think these certain players, that have played quite well for Man United. Like I said, the 3 players we bought in during the summer have done really well. I think McTominay, has done really well so far this season, and I think, reflecting on McTominay's performances, he's deserved, to keep his place in the team. Maybe he won't play tomorrow, because he has actually, been mainly playing in the league games, as Scott McTominay. But yeah, I think he's blended in alongside Pogba in that midfield really well. He's actually put Paul Pogba to shame, believe it or not. In regards to, McTominay, being a long-term solution for Man United, I have, got an element of concerns about that. These question marks around McTominay, can he can he keep the consistency up at Manchester United and that? But I think so far this season he has done really well. He's played between the lines well. His defensive contribution's been really good. And he has been mainly playing anywhere alongside Paul Pogba, this season. Obviously, when Paul Pogba was out of injury, he had been mainly actually, playing alongside Nemanja Matic at McTominay. Fred, I think he's in the games he's played in this season. I think he's played quite well. Quite recently, Fred, hasn't done too bad. Fred, we need to see more of Fred this season. That we didn't really see much of him last season because Fred never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho. And Fred has been at the club since last summer. Obviously, we paid just under £50 million for him. So we do need to see more of Fred, to be quite honest with you and that. But I think he's a much, better solution than Matic. But I think any of our midfielders are much better solutions than Matic. With Wan-Bissaka now, a lot of people actually do believe that Wan-Bissaka has been one of our most consistent signings in that, and probably has. Wan-Bissaka, he's got a lot of development in him. He's only 21 years of age. His distribution, that's very good. And I think he's enjoyed a great start to his Manchester United career. Obviously, he's out with illness at the moment. This is why he missed the Arsenal game on Monday, and Wan-Bissaka. I don't know. I think it's unsure, whether he will be involved in the game tomorrow evening against AZ Alkmaar. But yeah, he's been out with illness. I think he's had tonsillitis and that. Mason Greenwood, had tonsillitis, not too long ago. So he obviously, also had illness. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka, don't forget, had to withdraw from the England squad, earlier on in the season, because he had a back injury and that. And, he would have been infuriated because obviously it prevented him, from making his England, senior debut. But we're not too sure about Wan-Bissaka. But I think, he probably has, been one of our most consistent signings, to be quite honest with you. My overarching view on Paul Pogba is, Paul Pogba, hasn't played great this season. I don't even think he's scored yet this season. Paul Pogba, has not performed to the same sort of extent as that. Like I said about James, Bissaka, Harry Maguire, McTominay, and that's performed. He has done okay in parts as Pogba, but he hasn't performed to the standards as where we all expected. Basically, Pogba obviously has recently just recovered from an ankle injury and that. I still believe that Paul Pogba, is going to end up, leaving the football club, in my opinion. If he doesn't leave in January, I think he'll probably end up leaving the football club next summer. Obviously, recent reports have been speculating out. Obviously saying that Paul Pogba is demanding a substantial £600,000 a week from the football club. Obviously, to renew his contract at Man United. Obviously, 600 grand a week equates to around 31 million pounds a year. And obviously, Paul Pogba on his current deal at the moment is on around 290 grand a week. So in that aspect, he is one of the highest paid players at the football club. And Paul Pogba's got 2 years left in his current deal at Manchester United, with an option to extend it by a further year. But I do believe anywhere we've held negotiations, with Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, anywhere, to discuss Paul Pogba's future at the football club, and obviously over the possibility of renewing his contract and that. Because Solsjaker knows how much of an imperative player that Paul Pogba is. knows how much of an imperative player he is. But like I said, throughout the course of the summer, he had a long running transfer saga. He was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. He was relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. Obviously, there was talks about him possibly making a return back to Turin and that, because Paul Pogba, did have 4 good years in Turin with Juventus. Obviously hasn't mainly replicated this at Man United. He's enjoyed mainly a difficult time at Man United. So in comparison to his time at Juventus, we have seen glimpses, of how good, Paul Pogba can be in that, because we have, seen him at his best as a Man United player. I think it allegedly said that he had agreed a deadline day move to PSG. But his move to PSG reportedly never materialised due to the Neymar saga, because there was rumours about Neymar possibly making a return back to Barcelona. Don't forget, Neymar is the most expensive signing in the world. And I think also, Barcelona, went in for Paul Pogba and that. But Paul Pogba's brother, Matthias, he fueled quite a lot of speculation, throughout the course of the summer. But yeah, it was mainly, Real Madrid that were in for him. But obviously, we were very adamant anyway that Paul Pogba wasn't for sale during the summer. Obviously, we was demanding a substantial amount for him. If we was to soften our stance on him, we wanted somewhere in the region of around £180 million. Obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to pay up to the £180 million for Paul Pogba, and obviously, that was a stumbling block of Paul Pogba, making his move to Real Madrid and that. But I think Solskjaer's adamant that Paul Pogba, will not be for sale in January. So any attempts from Real Madrid in January, stemming from Solskjaer, will be unsuccessful. But Real Madrid will definitely, reignite their interest. And I know Real Madrid, spent a substantial amount during the summer. They spent around £300 million on players and that. But they're still looking, to overhaul their squad. They've sold some players of Real Madrid. They may consider selling more players to help them generate more funds and that. To meet our valuation for Paul Pogba. But yeah, Paul Pogba confirmed anyway earlier on in the summer, that he does want to leave Manchester United. And he did basically say, as you remember rightly, back in June, that he's seeking for a new challenge. At Pogba, he's 26 years of age. He has still got a lot of development minimum in that. And he's got a lot of development in him. So he won't spend it, even if he is to stay, for this season, he won't spend the entirety of his career with Manchester United, Paul Pogba, because I've already given you the main factor reasons why he wants out of the football club, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players, he wants to be in Champions League football, and he's probably frustrated with a lack of competitiveness at the football club and that. So these are the reasons probably, why he does want out. But yeah, he's now into his 4th season as a Manchester United player, is Pogba, since he rejoined the club from Juve back in 2016 and that, and he's won the Europa League with us, and obviously now the League Cup and that. But I'm glad, we're convinced him to stay, at least for this summer, especially with our failure to land a midfielder in, during the summer transfer window. But, I know it was good that we got that summer clear out, that we did currently demand, that was very, very good. Very, very happy about that. A lot of players have now left, since Mulligan and Solskjaer's arrival, and obviously Italy has been a popular destination, for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer and that. Obviously, the likes of Sanchez and Lukaku both left the football club. They both went to Inter Milan. So obviously, in that aspect, they are reuniting together. And I think a lot of people believe now, we're short of options in that attacking line, following the dismissal of Lukaku and Sanchez. Obviously, despite the fact that Sanchez has gone out on loan to Inter Milan, we are still paying the vast majority of his wages. So I still believe the club are paying him around, £300,000 a week. Obviously, Inter Milan are paying some of his wages as well, don't forget. And I think he's on loan with Inter Milan for around 10 months. Don't forget, like I said, there's no obligation to buy for Inter Milan, to make the deal permanent at the end of the loan and that. So I don't know where he will go after. I can't see Man United taking him back. Like I said with Romelu Lukaku, I bet he's doing really, really well with Inter Milan. To be quite fair, I can't really comment because I haven't watched Lukaku at Inter Milan, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, the reason he left Manchester United, because initially he lost his place in the team, and obviously when you lose your place in the team, obviously that means you're obviously on your way out of the football club. Obviously, initially lost his place in the team to Rashford, but Lukaku did actually serve 10 years with Manchester, 2 years with Manchester United. He did really, really well in his first season. That did really well. I think he scored 27 goals in all competitions in his first season for the club. And in his second season, didn't really replicate what he did in his first season, but he did initially lose his place in the team. I think the club anywhere overpaid for Lukaku. We paid around, was it £75 million for him from Everton a couple of years ago, but I was very delighted, with what we generated from his departure. I'm surprised, that we did get £70 million for him. So basically, we recouped the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. But for me, we need to find a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, and I think probably Moussa Dembele, like I said earlier on the video, would be the good adequate replacement. And obviously, Ander Herrera, he left on a free transfer early on this summer. We let his contract run down, and he obviously joined PSG on a free transfer. Now, I think it was a mistake getting rid of Ander Herrera full stop, because you could arguably say, he was one of our best players, since the Alex Ferguson era, and that he was one of our best players. I think he had some rough patches during his tenure, but I think, he had, I'd say like 3.5, 4 good years out of the 5 years he served at Manchester United and that. But we're known for doing it. We're known for overpaying for players, and when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. And like I said, we've done it in recent years. There's been prime examples of it this summer. But Ander Herrera was a great player for Manchester United, and this is a good start. The majority of the games we won last season, Ander Herrera was playing, so that just indicates out of how much of an impact, he did make for the football club. Fellaini, I'm glad he left the football club. Fellaini served 6 years at Manchester United. He left for China, back in January, so I'm glad he left. Darmian obviously left, like I said, he went to Parma. Smalling went out on loan to Roma. Despite the fact that Smalling left, though, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Obviously Valencia, I think he was the first player to leave at the end of last season, after Valencia obviously served 10 years at Manchester United. So for me, despite all them have now left the club, I still believe, these more problematic players at the football club, in my opinion. Like I said, I think we need to consider, moving Rojo. We need to consider, moving Rojo on, probably in January or next summer or sometime in the future. And even though Rojo will get his chances in the Cup and the Europa League games, but we'll find it hard, to get the chances in the league games. Will Rojo. Now, obviously, Rojo, I think Everton, I think Everton, had inquired about getting Rojo, during... Well, actually, Everton inquired about getting Rojo on transfer deadline day, if you do remember rightly. Also, too, I think a few other teams, went in for him. Rojo has just got under 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United, and he has made 2 appearances for the club this season. But Rojo's versatility is very good. He can play as a left back, he can play as a wing back, and he can also play as a centre back, and that's actually his predominant position. But for me, he's one of the problematic players. I think Jones, he's another problematic player at the football club. Jones has been a long-serving player at Man United. Jones has been here 8 years. Jones is actually now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, so Jones has nearly been at the football club a decade. I think it was a bad mistake last season for Manchester United, giving Phil Jones a new long-term contract. We should never give Jones a new long-term contract. But for me, he needs to be moved on in January or next summer. And don't forget, the club can cash in for him. I think also Ashley Young, he should leave at the end of the season. He's another problematic player at Manchester United, is Ashley Young. Again, he's been here 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. He's young. And don't forget, he got given a new 1-year extension last season, did Ashley Young. Like I said, I think Matic as well, he needs to be moved on, because Matic, obviously, he's initially, lost his place in the team as Matic, to McTominay, where, I think Matic is actually infuriated with his lack of playing time. We could try and cash in for him in January, because don't forget, Matic's current deal at Man United, does expire at the end of the season, but we do have an option, to extend it by a further year, his contract. I don't think Man United will, though, because I think we actually do want him out in the football club. Matic has, made around 90 appearances for the club in all competitions. I think, obviously, the vast majority of his appearances he's made have come in the Premier League, and that, Matic is now into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, we paid around, was it £40 million for him from Chelsea back in 2017, if you do remember rightly. But yeah, he has been mainly inconsistent as a Manchester United player. You know, Matic is too slow. You know, he makes that midfield look totally imbalanced. So yeah, another player for me that does need to be moved on. But like I said, I've already said to you, around £800 odd million that's been spent at Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years. That's how much has been spent on players, and that's obviously not taking into account what was spent under Alex Ferguson. So a hell of a lot of money has been invested into the football club. But I don't think Allegri and Solsjaker is going to last at Manchester United. I do, but definitely think he will be gone by Christmas, in my opinion. But the main part of this video, guys, was to give you the news about Massmilanio, Allegri, as I actually have been giving you an update on a regular basis. And I also, wanted to give you the news on the rest of the other stuff that's been going on. Like I said on my previous video, I may do a starting 11 prediction. Maybe later on or sometime tomorrow, for the game against Alkmaar tomorrow evening, and that, I'll give you my starting 11 prediction. I may do it, I may not, but maybe another live video will be coming up later on today. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, like, explore on the channel, and if you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching.